Buenas tardes y bienvenidos. Thank you for tuning in to the Latin American Student Union's radio show, La Voz. My name is Amiya Castro. I'm the La Voz and Publications Coordinator for LASU. I will also be one of your hosts for the evening. We have some amazing people joining us for tonight's show. I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi, y'all. My name is Osariemen. I'm the political correspondent for BSU here on campus.
Hi guys, my name is Yazmeen Marte, and I am a founding hermana of Lambda Pi Upsilon sorority, Latinas Poderosas Unidas Incorporated.
And if you're listening, we'd love to have you join the conversation, so call us live at 607-777-2137. And if you're shy, you can just DM us on Instagram at lasu_1969.
I am so excited for tonight's show, but first, how was homecoming weekend?
Honestly, I worked like the entire weekend.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this question was obviously not for you. Clearly.
Homecoming was OD. Definitely better than last year in my opinion. Like, I think that was the best homecoming that people have had in a while, I feel.
So what does homecoming consist of, right? We did the tailgate. What happened at the tailgate?
Yeah, so tailgate is honestly tailgating. It's interesting because we tailgate like nothing really, like at other schools.
It's kind of just a bunch of tents, a bunch of food, a bunch of people.
It's supposed to be like the pre-show to an actual football game or something like that, but you know.
But we have soccer.
I realized that a lot of the orgs were just getting lit with everybody on campus. That looked really cool.
Yeah, I did have a good time. So how was the fashion show?
Wow. Fashion show was definitely a very fun experience. I think we had a lot of fun planning, and because fashion show was so early this year, it was pretty hectic, but right. I would love to say that all the drive and all the practices, it went so good. Like, people loved it, saying it was the best fashion show they've had in years.
Period.
Everybody looked so fire.
No, yeah, and the designers were, like, they were really fire.
Facts.
Yeah. I was actually in the fashion show. It was the first time I ever did something like this. It was so nerve-wracking because I'm not usually the type of person to put myself out there like that. So it was very interesting. But
you did great, though.
Oh, thank you. But the theme this year was HBCU. Can you, like, explain that a little bit, what that means?
Yeah, so when we told people the theme was homecoming, they were like, okay, yeah.
Right.
But really, it was so simple, but it has so much contextual value, you know. Beyonce just dropped her homecoming documentary about her performance at Coachella. And then when we talk about homecoming at HBCUs, you know, historically black colleges, that term automatically has meaning.
Right.
You know, we have the biggest names coming out. We have D9 strolling. We have all these speakers and black celebs coming, you know. And at the PWI, it's definitely easy to feel left out of that experience. It's definitely easy to feel left out of that culture. Mm-hmm. So I think as the Black Student Union, we were very much adamant in bringing, well, not even bringing, but like emphasizing and highlighting that culture that we do have.
It's there.
And so HBCU was just a way for us to, you know, highlight the strength in our community that's already there. So we had student performers, student designers,
a marching band.
Mind you, the marching band consisted of middle schoolers. You know, it was very much explicitly trying to highlight the strength and power of black youth.
I wasn't even there and I felt it.
Exactly.
No, I was in the fashion show, and the marching band even threw me by surprise. I was so amazed. But have you guys seen like the tease of the football team on the BU Instagram?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a joke because we don't have one, but we're still undefeated.
But I was confused because, like, it actually said Binghamton University football, and it was like several sweaters. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you really made that many sweaters for a joke. I don't know.
But enough about Bing. Did any of you guys watch the Emmys?
I did not get a chance to. Did you, Amaya?
I personally wasn't able to watch the Emmys, but I did see some amazing news pop up all over my Instagram. Jharell Jerome won an Emmy for acting for his role of Corey Wise in When They See Us. Yes. For those of you who may not know, Jharell is actually the first ever Afro-Latino to win an Emmy for acting. What do you guys feel is the significance of Jharell's win?
Honestly, I'd say just like the role that he played in When They See Us, period, was enough. Like, the fact that he represented us, or represented just what was going on, and the cruelty between, like, just history overall, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think it very much related to the title When They See Us.
Right.
Because his appearance, his representation transcended the screen. You know,
Right.
Like, he has material value
Yes.
attached to his role in that movie. So, like, this was more than just an ode to the exonerated five. This was just more than, you know, informing those who may not know. Like, the importance transcended so many different areas of our lives. So.
I agree, because even if you weren't a part of, like, the Latinx community or the Black community or people of color, I feel like it was a film where you could definitely empathize with what was going on. It was like very what do you call that word?
Groundbreaking.
Yes. Yeah. Like aware.
Mm-hmm. And it's really important, though, because there have only been 9 Latinx individuals to win an Emmy.
Only 9?
Right.
Let's hear them. Let's put some respect on their name. I want to hear all of them.
So, in 1964, the first Latinx actor, Albert Paulson, who's Colombian, won. Then in 1977 and 78, Puerto Rican actress Rita Moreno won 2. Okay.
Okay, period.
No, period. And then Ricardo Montalban, who was Mexican, won in 1978. And then in 1985, another Mexican actor, Edward James Olmos, won. And then 5 years later, in 1990, Puerto Rican actor Jimmy Smits won. Snap, snap, snap.
Yes.
And then in 1999, Colombian actor John Leguizamo. I'm probably butchering this, sorry.
Leguizamo, but it's okay.
All right.
Keep it up.
And then Honduran actress America Ferrera in 2007. That name sounds familiar.
That's Ugly Betty.
I know.
Betty La Fea, yes.
Go ahead, sis. And then in 2017, Argentinian actress Alexis Bledel.
Yeah,
Who was that? Yeah.
So, she's an actress, and she's, like, white passing. So, honestly, when I was showing my secretary the agenda, she looked it up. She's like, wait. She's white. I was like, no, she's, like, both her parents are actually Argentinian. So, it's, like, interesting. So,
I mean, that's a conversation for another day.
right.
Because I can talk about that. But anyway, and most recently, Jharell Jerome, a Dominican actor who identifies as Afro-Latino, won. So,
yes.
Shout out to y'all.
Definitely deserve this award. So, have you all seen When They See Us?
Definitely, of course.
And, like, what are your thoughts? Like, just on the whole movie holistically, and then also Jarrell's performance.
I'll be honest. It kind of took me a few tries to see them to see the show, because at first it was very just like heartbreaking and stuff like that. So I couldn't watch it the first time, and then I watched it again just to actually understand and see what happened. And it was just heartbreaking overall. Like, I couldn't.
Right. So I have mixed feelings about docuseries and like movies like this, because on one hand, I think it was an excellent job. I think narrating and showcasing historical precedents that affect our lives today is very important, you know, because a lot of people don't know. Even people in the Black community didn't know about this, right? So it's good to inform, but then we have to talk about the costs and benefits of portraying Black pain. You know, like that's a central theme in American film.
Right.
And so what did we get from being heartbroken all the time? What do we get from seeing Black bodies treated like nothing? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a feeling that people are profiting off of. And I don't know if it's necessarily worth it in the long run.
I feel like that's definitely something that I've spoken about on, like, the last 2 shows even, just about, like, how we share things and what do we get out of it.
Right.
So, for example, the little girl crying in Mississippi after her parents got detained. So what do we get out of sharing that? Like, is it just informational? Are we trying to appeal to people's pathos? Like, what are we doing?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel if this docuseries was accompanied by by some type of action outside of the movie, then I'm like, okay, you know, because who is the audience right now? Because it's not us. Like, we know our history for the most part. It's a lot of these non-Black, non-Afro-Latinx, non-POC people who get to move through this world without having the weight of our history on their backs, you know? So I feel like they were definitely a target audience. But then it's like, okay, now that you know our pain, what are you going to do about it? Because we didn't create these institutions that oppress us. We didn't do that.
Right.
So.
And it's definitely not our fault. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, I think it's just amazing in general because not only is Jharell Afro-Latino, he's 21 and he's from the Bronx. He's so relatable that I feel like everybody won. I actually saw a tweet that said Bronx won an Emmy, but they got a snitch.
All right.
And I guess it's a joke about the fake beef between the Bronx and Brooklyn, but about Tekashi.
And also.
But also, yeah, sorry. But I feel like all Latinx people and Black people are just happy for Jharell and what he's done and the symbolism for their community.
Yeah, you know, the Bronx, I guess y'all took a W. Oh, wait, let me preface this by saying I'm a Bronx. Whoa.
Oh!
I'm from Brooklyn.
The Bronx now. That's real cute. X's up, X's up.
You see, this is what happens when you start talking about the Bronx too much. Like, it's a plague, y'all. No, let me stop. Okay. Nah, the Bronx definitely took a W with this one. But, you know, this is not the only news we've heard that has to do with the Bronx. Just 2 days ago, 45-year-old Fernando Balbuena Flores jumped into train tracks while holding his 5-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. This happened at the Kingsbridge Road Station while people were waiting for the 4 train, and the father was struck by the train and died. But luckily, the little girl was able to find a safe spot in the tracks and was able to be rescued once the train stopped.
And also, the people who were on the tracks waiting for the train as well said that they heard Flores on the phone with his wife saying, "You look out for the other 2 kids. I'm going to take her to school." And then he said, "I love you." And they tried to signal the train conductor to stop the train as it approached the station, but it was too late.
Neighbors of the family told reporters that Flores was a quiet man who suffered from depression and he was on and off his medications. The hardest part of the situation is that the little girl could have seriously been injured or even killed because of the actions of her father. The New York City Administration for Children's Services for investigating that case, issuing a statement about how their top priority is the safety and well-being of children in your city. Do you all believe that this was an isolated event, or is it a part of a bigger issue of mental health not being a priority in communities of color?
Yeah, I feel like it at the same time it could have been an isolated incident, but I do feel like it is indicative of a larger issue of mental health not being a priority in communities of color, because even the neighbors were saying, "Oh yeah, we knew he suffered from depression and he was on and off his medications, but no one did anything." Like
even
he
on
was
the
still.
train tracks, like when they said that, they heard the conversation with his wife and stuff like that. That's really scary.
I mean, I would say less about the people on the train tracks just because, like, no one really wants to be in anyone else's business. And again, you are in the Bronx. People mind their business. People definitely mind their business. But, like, especially for the neighbors and, like, his wife definitely knew about his condition and was still he was still able to, like, be alone with the kids and stuff like that. So I do feel like it's indicative of a larger issue.
Isn't, like, depression kind of a hard topic in a way? Because, like, at the same time, how are you going to control somebody's actions based off, like, their medications or stuff like that? And even then, like, just because someone has depression doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to see their kids, you know, bring them to school. He was saying he was bringing them to school, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, so, on the one hand, I feel like Black, POC, communities of color, we don't necessarily have access to the language that allows us to get help, you know, like we don't talk about it a lot. It's not something
we're taught in general,
right? But also, even those who try to seek help, we like
shut it down.
That costs money. That's
right.
That's a lot of institutions that are allowing for you to seek help, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes, most of the time, we're not in that space where we can, you know, really take care of ourselves. And also, like, it's hard to be a person of color, Black, Latinx person in this country. So I feel like we're
disabilities or mental issues.
Like we're all like dealing with stuff. And so I don't know. I think mental health is something that are very heavy topics to discuss, and I realize that some of the viewers may be struggling with these issues in our own lives. And so I would just like to list out some resources that may be useful if you or someone you know is struggling with depression or suicidal thoughts. On campus, we have the University Counseling Center, whose hours are 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they also offer after-hours phone counseling from 5 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. And so...
Wait, so let's talk about the University Counseling Center for a little bit. Like, have you guys heard anything about it? Like, I've heard
honestly, I've heard that it's really hard to get someone to talk to, and I heard that there's like a really long list, like a really long list, a wait list for people to even get help.
Yeah, I have heard that too, and like you can only get help for like a semester, and then after that you have to find your own private therapist off campus. Like I know people who ran out of sessions and they had to find therapists off campus, and they don't have the money for it. Like I'm in student support services in Trio SSS, and one of the other mentors, she had gone through something with her family, and then she went to the university counseling center. She's like, oh yeah, it helped a lot, but then they told me that I could no longer go, and that I had to find a therapist off campus. And like as a disadvantaged student already,
right,
you now have to go
and find more help.
Exactly, and pay another expense, which you're already paying tuition for.
I agree, yeah, because we're like, our tuition literally says that it pays for certain things, but I can bet money that...
Only to an extent.
Exactly.
Right.
But we still keep paying for it even if we're not using it anymore.
And also, we're in Binghamton. Like, how easy do you think it's going to be to find a therapist of color that you're going to feel comfortable speaking with? Whether it's a woman or a man of color, but especially, like, a woman of color. Like, we're in Binghamton. It's predominantly white. Obviously, that's not a secret. So, what do you guys think about that?
I actually attended a leadership training where one of the representatives from the counseling center came. And they literally said, we are not a crisis management center. Like, this is like a pit stop. Like, we can only do so much for you.
Right.
Like, their office actually operates to help, but only to an extent. You know, and that's what we're seeing. You know, that's like, this is basically the free child, and then it's like, okay, you figure it out. Yeah. So it's unfortunate because I didn't know that's how they operated,
right.
And also I don't know how other counseling centers on other college campuses operate either. Like, I don't know if that this is just how they move, where it's like you get 2 sessions, we help you out a little bit, and then it's like, all right, do what you got to do.
And I feel like what makes it worse is that as students of color, like, already a lot of us at home, like, mental health is taboo. You can't even talk about it. So then at school, this is supposed to be your safe haven. This is supposed to be where you are able to go to get help.
Or
and
even
then
learn how to get it too.
Right, exactly. And then you're put into this pit stop where you are given what you need for a certain amount of time, and then it's taken away from you, and then you just have to figure it out. Like, that's how people stop going to therapy, and then they go down a downward spiral, and then we have dropouts. Like, I feel like that's the bigger issue.
It's just how situations got worse, and they just keep going on.
Yeah.
But there's also a student-run phone support service called Support, Empathy, Empowerment, Kindness, or SEEK. Their hours are from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. every night during the fall and spring semesters. And the number to reach them is 607-777-4357. And so the last resource I'll be sharing with you all is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, obviously, which is a 24/7 support service for those having suicidal thoughts. And the number for this service is 1-800-273-8255.
So what do you guys think about SEEK? Like, honestly, I feel like that's so dope. Like, you have students who are willing to stay up and help other students, because this is, like, a really relevant issue, especially in college. Like, there are even some universities where it's like Cornell is, like, suicide capital. That's what I've heard. And it's, like, so scary because we are put here in isolated situations where a lot of us are, like, first-generation students where we don't even know how to function, period. So then to be put in a situation, or maybe even if you do go through something up here, like if you are sexually assaulted or you are get robbed or just harassed.
Just anything, yeah.
Right. And then, so I just feel like it's really cool that the school does this.
I mean, that's one of my favorite parts of Binghamton. A lot of things are student-run. So we kind of just have each other's backs and we just learn how to do things together.
And I feel like we as students who are in, like, really important organizations, really powerful organizations, like, we're able to see this. But I feel like people who are not in these organizations, they find it harder to seek help. Like, we have our e-board members. Like, even if we didn't have friends, we have our e-board members, right? Or you have your hermanas. So it's like you have immediate people that you can reach out to.
But even then, I'd say it's hard, because even if, yeah, you might have people around you, you have the opportunity or the courage or just the feeling to talk to somebody about certain things that's happening to you. Because personally, I'm one of those people who keeps things to myself, and it's really hard to express myself for certain things. So it just depends for everybody and everybody's situation.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I've always been the type of person to, like, keep things bottled up, and, like, it's only when you are more self-aware and you see how like your emotions manifest throughout your life.
Yeah.
Like, why am I snapping at this person? Why do I feel like this? Why am I crying right now?
The fact that you even realize that you're snapping at someone, you know, like, that's what I was saying, like, it's on it. The first step is being given access to the language to describe what you're even feeling, to how they even...
I'd say the first step is accepting that there's something wrong, you know, that something is just not right.
Right. Like, understanding that takes a lot of exposure to things, to people telling you this, or just experiences where you understand, like, okay, this is right, or this is something that, you know, could benefit me, and this is something that I do that is not benefiting me.
Right.
You know, so...
That's why I really appreciate, like, student organizations when they have general body meetings about mental health. Like, LASU just had one not too long ago about generational trauma. And, like, that's something that's really real, and I feel like is really prevalent in college campuses as well, because this is where your education is at its peak. So, like, especially growing up in New York City, you could get through elementary school, middle school, high school without really learning anything, let's be honest. So then you get here and it's like, oh wow, like I can't, I can't just say whatever I want. I can't just do whatever I want. Like, I'm in the real world now, for the most part. But then obviously, college campuses are not exactly the real world, but it is a bubble where we kind of like act it out.
No, definitely. Like, I think college is very cool because you're thrusted into this new environment where accountability is a thing. Student orgs that have actual impact, actual resources, access to seats at a table, you know, like, that's something that I wasn't necessarily exposed to in high school. Definitely, I came from a big high school, so student involvement was a really big thing, and I went to high school in Brooklyn. And, so student bodies and Black youth and youth in general, understanding that there was power in those communities was like a common thing, even though we did have to fight for it. But coming to college, it's like, it's
different.
Already, it's like, hold on.
I went to school in the Bronx, and my school was literally really small. Like, there was probably 100 per class.
Wow.
Yeah, so personally, there weren't that many organizations. Like, there probably were none. So it's hard as well, not just to see that there's organizations and people doing stuff, but just to take that step to include yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't realize organizations like this existed until I came to Binghamton, because I went to Murrow in Brooklyn as well, and we never had any type of cultural organizations, and it was I think it was last year that they actually made like a BSU, because a video surfaced of a bunch of white students saying the N-word. I think it was Freaky Friday, and like, you know that one part where it's like so they were going really hard for that, and then it went around, and the staff, like, they didn't do anything about it, because the students were trying to say, oh, we didn't consent to have our video taken, so you can't like come at us, but you still were wrong for this. So and the student who posted the video was suspended. A Black student who saw the video and then posted it was suspended. So not only was action not taken against the white students, but like the Black student was suspended for just sharing the video. Right. So that's when, like, I don't think it's called BSU, but a type of BSU was formed, which I think is really cool, and
it's empowering.
Right, and that's how our orgs were founded too. So it's very interesting to see it happen in real time, because we know that our orgs were founded way back when they really needed it, and like they're still here today, but just needed. Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like we shouldn't even distance ourselves from the origins of our orgs. Like, that happened last year. The incident with Morrow. So like, we're still in a time where it's really needed. You know, we're still in a time where BSUs need to be springing up left and right. We're still in a time where LASUs need to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
if anything, I'd say that we just need extra support. Like, we need extra empowerment. We need to keep doing what we're doing and stuff like that.
Because now these systems are more complex, more covert. It's like, hold on, like, am I even really being oppressed?
Because I feel like since the system is already put in place for us, sometimes it's easy to like start slacking, because you know we already have a lawsuit. Like, we're just gonna gonna do a banquet, we're just gonna do a pageant, stuff like that. But that's what I really appreciate about our orgs, because I feel like we don't get stuck in that cycle. Like, we really keep what else can we do? Like, yeah, we did this. What else can we do? Like,
even the fact that sometimes you need to retouch upon certain topics, like, hey, like, we're going to need to talk about this again because it's still something that's happening. Or we're going to need to talk about this because people are still hurt. People still need to talk about it so they can express themselves.
There's definitely a lack of complacency in the student orgs on this campus for the most part, and I really appreciate that, because as a representative of an org on this campus, I see that, I feel that, and I want to implement that in my org. You know, I want to make that continuing progressive space for my community on this campus. So it's definitely empowering and motivating.
No, I agree. And I feel like that's a conversation that, so Osa and I are really good friends, and I feel like that's something we spoke about even as interns last year. We were like, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to run for e-board, and, like, hopefully we make it, but what are we going to do? Like,
look at y'all now.
Exactly. Period. Period. So I hope that if any of our listeners do find themselves in a situation where they do need to utilize these resources that Osariemen just listed, that you please do. And also, you don't have to be on the executive board to be a part of LASU. I know we do have like a lot of general body members who just feel like LASU is a safe space, and I want to emphasize that it is. Please don't forget that we are a familia, and en la unión está la fuerza.
And also, that goes for all of the orgs. Like, I think a really important point to make here today is that being a part of an org doesn't necessarily mean being the face of it. You know, it's all about building community, and the strongest part of our communities are its members.
Right.
So, yeah.
And who we support.
Exactly. So, to end tonight's show, I would like to share a quote with you all. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. This was said by Franklin D. Roosevelt. And this is a quote I hope will leave you all feeling a little lighter after this segment, because I feel like we did kind of delve into some dense, heavy topics that may leave you feeling a little... No, I definitely feel like it did get heavy, and then we got lighter. Like, we started talking about, like, empowering each other.
Yeah, I think
it was a really good conversation.
It's very important to, like, talk about these things, but then, you know, put some resolve out there. Put some areas of hope, areas of,
don't just,
you know,
new... Give a solution.
Right, exactly.
And as some of you may or may not know, LASU is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year.
You know the vibes.
And they have a lot of exciting programming and events going in store. If you want, you can follow them on Instagram at LASU_1969 to make sure you don't miss anything.
Also, if you enjoyed today's show and want to join us on air as a special host, please email LASU at lasu@binghamtonsa.org, or find us on Be Engaged, and we can make that dream a reality.
Don't forget that LASU also hosts general body meetings every Thursday in UUW 310 at 8 p.m. This week, we'll be discussing the removal of temporary protective status for immigrants and what that means with Lambda Alpha Upsilon Fraternity Incorporated. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. I hope to see you all there. I did not mention that for Latinx Heritage Month, we do have general body meetings on Mondays at 8 p.m. as well. So we are having GBs twice
Monday
a week.
And Thursday?
You know the vibes.
Yeah, we getting real crazy over here.
So I just want to say thank you to all of our new and old listeners for tuning in today. Also, a very special thank you to our engineer, Ferdinand Montalvo, for joining us this year once again. You've been listening to WHRW FM with Amaya.
Osariemen.
And Yazmeen.
And remember, en la unión está la fuerza. You better stick to the script.
No, ma'am.
You could say there actually have only ever been 9. I'll be like, let's hear it. I want to hear all 9 of them.
Okay, valid.
Oh, you mean like
Are you
like a break in